Hi, my name is Renee Wallace, and I am talking to you today about my internship project that I was assigned. I was actually assigned 3 projects for my internship, and the first one was to coordinate a Passover Seder, and I actually ended up doing 2 Passover Seders in 2014 and 2015. And so my process and the results are what I'm going to talk to you about today. My ministry site is a Messianic synagogue. That is a synagogue that believes Jesus, Yeshua, is the actual Jewish Messiah as promised in the Old Testament. We have about 100 member families, and our attendance is about 200 people per Saturday, and that actually doubles during the high holidays. That's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and the Jewish New Year. The synagogue was established in 1981. Now, my assignment was to serve as coordinator of the Passover Seder, and I was to review the menu and provide security, lights, staging. I had to work on the dance area and just make sure that all of the administrative details were accomplished. That included special decorations on all of the tables and working on specific festival food dishes and making sure that everything was lined up and ready to go on time and as requested. As a Messianic Jewish community, we observe all the biblical holidays. The Passover holiday is especially significant and serves as a major evangelistic effort for us because it's an opportunity for us to combine the traditional Passover Seder with the fulfillment that Yeshua, Jesus, is as our Passover lamb. A Seder is an ordered service. There's a specific order to the service, and it includes worship and prayer and teaching and a festival meal. There are object lessons all through the Passover Seder that talk about various issues that people deal with in spiritual life, such as purity. There's even salt water. There's a bowl of salt water that represents tears, persecution, trial. So there's all these wonderful elements that represent different parts of our spiritual life and different parts of our actual life on earth. Attendees come to our community Seder from our membership, from churches in the area, and as invited guests. And often these invited guests will receive the Messiah at the Seder or afterward when they perceive the connection between the Passover Seder and who the Messiah actually is. We start selling tickets about 2 months in advance, and every year we sell out. So our attendance is about 350 to 400 people every year. The process, as I said, is primarily administrative, but for me, working with others and the cooperation that was required to accomplish this event actually made it more relational. And one of my strengths that I learned at San Diego Christian College was that I have connectedness is my #1 strength, and strategic is my #2 strength. So this assignment was really perfect for me because I could strategize all the details in an administrative way, but remain connected to all the volunteers and all the people that I was working with. The first step is to contact the hotel venue and establish a menu and go through the details of the Seder. And that also required a meeting with the catering staff to taste the prepared menu items. It was really honoring the first year, well, both years, to be a part of the team that met at the hotel for the tasting. The team included our rabbi, the office administrator, and our music directors and our volunteer chef that was going to be making the matzo ball soup for the event. Our next step is to begin selling tickets, which we do so after our services, and people order their tickets by table number and pay for their tickets at service. The busiest time is the event itself. We arrive at the hotel ballroom at about 10 a.m. and there's an empty stage, completely empty stage, and all the tables are empty, and we have to place all the very specific elements on each table. Everything has to be set very specifically, and we really strive to make this Passover Seder a traditional Jewish Passover Seder. And there's a reason for that and a background, and I just want to share that with you. But first, let me just list everything that goes on the Passover table. Every table receives kosher wine, grape juice, haroset, which is an apple mixture, maror, which is bitter herbs, a roasted egg, a shank bone, parsley, 2 bowls of water, 1 salted, and some cloth pouches called a matzah tash that hold 3 matzah crackers, and another one that holds a broken matzah cracker called the afikomen. I wish I could go into what they all mean. That would take me about another hour, so I have to go past that. But each element is very specific and has a very deep meaning spiritually and related to the Messiah. So the volunteers move all around the room and place all the elements on all of the tables. And then someone else goes and double checks all of those to make sure each table is double checked. We do expect that we will have visitors that don't know Messiah yet. And so it's very, very important for us that this Seder is very traditional. It's as traditional as we can make it. And the reason why that is true and why we emphasize the tradition so much is another sidebar, and I really would like to take this opportunity to interject a special message because I think some people may not be aware of some of these issues, and I just find it's the perfect opportunity to share this with you. Part of the reason for our traditional approach is rooted in the problem that Jews have had to face since faith in the Jewish Messiah moved away from Jewish things. Over the centuries, Jews have been discouraged from faith in Messiah Yeshua by believing some false concepts. And I'd like to list a few of those false concepts and just to give you some awareness of what Jewish tradition says and what the church has said now even, but especially in the past. For instance, the church says you can't become a believer in Yeshua and still do those Jewish things. Jewish tradition says a Christian is another word for Gentile, and so if you're Jewish, you can't become a Gentile, you're just Jewish, and that's all there is. The church says observing the Old Testament holidays means that one is being legalistic. Both groups say that Jews have a free pass to heaven because they're the chosen people. A Jewish tradition says if the Messiah has come, we would have peace on earth and no more suffering. The church says that the church has replaced the Jews in all of God's promises. And another one is that the church says the Jews killed Jesus, so they are cursed forever. Because of these man-made distinctions between the church and the Jews, centuries of mistrust, anti-Semitism, and misunderstanding have developed. To break down these barriers, it's extremely important to prioritize 2 tasks. One is to demonstrate to the Jews that faith in Messiah is not only for Gentiles, but it's for the Jews as well. And second, to demonstrate to the church that God is not finished with the Jews. In fact, he will fully intend and fulfill all of his promises to Israel because God is faithful. The reason I make such an issue about this is to emphasize that to effectively minister to Jews, one must be a Jew to the Jews. When Yeshua was on the earth, he used Jewish disciples and Jewish ways to explain Jewish concepts, revealing that he was the Jewish Messiah. Yet he came so that those who were far off, that's the Gentiles, could be brought near. In other words, revealing the fact that Gentiles were invited to have a part of the redemption in Messiah. Those Gentiles are not required to become Jewish. That is the inclusive mercy of God's redeeming love. We come as we are, and he uses us in the context that we come to him to share his love with others. So if you come to Yeshua, come to Jesus, and you're Jewish, you can still be Jewish. You don't have to become a Christian. And if you're a Gentile, and if you're a Gentile and you come to Jesus, God will use you in a Gentile church, and that's okay. They're both okay. It's the same faith, and it's one man, but it's a diversity of one man. That's where I'm coming from, so I wanted to share that. The bottom line is that it is so important to share Yeshua as a Jew to Jews because for 2,000 years he has been presented otherwise. Our goal is to bring Messiah to Jews, and we find success in this venture by following tradition and revealing Messiah within that tradition, and especially revealing the scripture that supports the tradition. So, back to Passover. During the Seder, elements of the festival meal are explained, and often a Jewish guest will receive a revelation of the identity of Messiah. This is one of the results that we hope to receive each Passover. In addition to acknowledging and submitting to the Messiah for saving faith, our synagogue is also conducts this Passover Seder to remember that we ourselves have been redeemed. Every year, it's like a memorial tradition. And even when Yeshua was with his disciples and he said, when you do this, and he was celebrating the Passover Seder, when you do this, remember me. Whenever you do this, whenever you perform this festival meal of a Passover Seder, you remember me, my blood and my body. And so for us, it's what the church might call communion. For us, is Passover Seder. So it's great. Again, it's two divergent concepts, but they're really unity because it's all by faith, and it's all by faith in Yeshua, Jesus. So we're all together, and I just find that very exciting. You can probably tell. The Passover Seder of the last 2 years, and even before that, was successful because of a vast team of volunteers that come and offer their services selflessly for the sake of honoring God and expanding his kingdom. Our synagogue has been able to host this Passover Seder for 400 people, reminding everyone that by God's amazing grace, he has redeemed us by Yeshua, the Passover Lamb, for both the Jew and the Gentile. All right, God bless you. I hope you learned a little bit, and I hope you were blessed by this presentation. Thank you.